In this video, we're going to look at the division of powers, another property of exponents. So let's take a look at some examples. In the left-hand side, we have some examples, and then in the middle column of this table, we have expanded out the examples, and then we will have the final simplified answer in the third column. So remember that division can be written as a fraction form. So for the first example, 3 to the 6th divided by 3 to the 4th, I have expanded 3 to the 6th, expanded 3 to the 4th. Now we know that 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So every pair of 3 divided by 3 is going to equal 1. So we had 4 3s in the top and 4 3s in the bottom that divided out to equal 1. So that is essentially equal to 1. So we're left with 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. Can do the same thing in the next example. 3 to the 7th divided by 3 squared. First expand, and then divide 2 3s on the top with 2 3s on the bottom, and we would be left with 3 to the 5th. In the next example, same thing. 1 3 divided by 1 3 on the bottom equals 1, so we are left with 3 to the 4th. Now, if we get into bigger numbers, it would be really tedious and take a very long time to write that out. We don't have to if we notice the pattern that's happening here. So think about that 98. We have 98 3s in the denominator, 100 3s in the numerator. So 98 of these are going to divide into 98 of those, and you'll have 2 3s left. All right, so let's take a look at the same situation with variables. Same thing is going to apply. B divided by B. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So we have B to the 3rd, and B to the 3rd divided by B to the 3rd equals 1. So we just have B times B, which is B squared. In this one, we have B to the 7th divided by B to the 3rd. Again, that equals 1. So we have B to the 4th. Same thing here, B to the 5th divided by B to the 1st, or just B, and we have B to the 4th. Let's take a look at this one. If we have B to the 5th divided by B to the 5th, we are going to have every B divides with another B. So we are going to have our solution is 1. And again, B to the 72nd divided by B to the 70th. So 70 of these B's will divide into 70 of those, and you're going to have 2 left. So at this point, I'm hoping you're starting to see a pattern here of what's happening. Here, the exponents b to the 5th divided by b to the 3rd, and we ended up with b squared. 3 of these canceled with 3 of these, and we ended up with b to the 4th. 1 canceled in the denominator and the numerator, and we were left with 4. And then all of these canceled, so we were just left with 1. And then this time 70 in the bottom divided into 70 in the top, so you would just be left with 2, b to the 2nd power. Okay, so at this point you may be noticing a pattern here, which is good and helpful whenever you have really large exponents. So you may have noticed that b to the 5th so here you may have noticed b to the 5th divided by b to the 3rd. So those canceled out. So another way to think about this is b to the 5 minus 3. So this is the same thing as b to the 7th minus 3, which was b to the 4th. That one was b to the 2nd. This one is b to the 4th. And we got that by subtracting the exponents. 7 divided by 3, or b to the 7th divided by b to the 3rd, is the same thing as saying b to the 7 minus 4. Same thing here. 5 minus 1 is b to the 4th. And 5 minus 5, this is an interesting situation here. We have b to the 5 minus 5, which is equal to b to the 0 power. And then we also said that these all divide out, so we end up with 1. So here, b to the 72 minus 70 is b to the 2nd. Okay, so when we are dividing powers, we can just subtract the exponents. And then if the exponents are the same, we end up with a 0 power, which is equal to 1. Okay, let's take a look at another situation. In this situation, we have less variables in the numerator than the denominator. So let's see what's going to happen. That's going to equal 1. b divided by b is 1. b divided by b is 1. So in the numerator, we are left with 1. And then in the denominator, we are left with 2. Here, that equals 1. In the bottom, denominator, need to use correct language. In the denominator, we're going to have b, just b. Same thing. 1, 1, b divided by b is 1, so we're left with 1 over b to the 4th. And if you recall, we did this before and we ended up with just 1. And again, in this case, it would take way too long to write that out, but these 65 B's will divide by 65 of these. So we're going to have B to the 5th in the denominator. So this is our answer here. I'm not going to take the time to rewrite all that out. Okay? Let's take a look.